All right, moving on. Next item is approval of the minutes for the April 2nd, 2026 meeting.
Make a motion to approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next item, correspondence. Do we have any correspondence from the attorney or the department?
No correspondence.
No.
Okay. Old business, moving on to approval of amended merit board rules.
I'll let Christian talk on that.
All right. I've got a stack here. Take one, pass it down. And there should be a few extras if anybody wants them. I probably have enough for everybody here. These are the merit board rules that we discussed at prior meetings, which incorporate all of the amendments that were discussed and were also circulated probably about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, via email. These rules have been noticed by publication in 2 different publications, so this is a formal public hearing at which we can approve the rules. And on top of the rules, you will see a copy of a very simple resolution that I drafted that simply states that the original rules were adopted on June 5, 2025, and that the rules incorporated here are amendments that you wish to pass. And that's pretty much it for the resolution. So as long as you guys were good with the rules as discussed and circulated, then we can go ahead and approve those with changes tonight.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the department?
No comments.
Okay. And these, just a clarification, so all the markups that were done, this has been incorporated, there have been no amendments since the last meeting?
Correct. This incorporates all the changes through the last meeting. I think there were a couple of things that we finalized at the last meeting that are reflected in here, but they were very, very simple. The only other thing that you'll see on here, we did not make any changes to the addendum to the rules, which are the back pages. That just states that how many questions, basically, that the tests will have and how the points work. We didn't change anything there, but those are attached. The only thing that's different about those is instead of citing to the old paragraphs, it's been amended to cite to the new paragraphs. You'll also see the performance rating sheet that was attached as an exhibit. That's the same as the old set of rules, so nothing there has changed.
So primarily, the key changes from last meeting, if I remember correctly, were the paramedics license, providing 10 extra bonus points on that, and then deciding on the 50% scores for Section 7 and Section 3 being the 70% scores.
Correct, and you should see that reflected in here.
So if there's, and I can see that in the portions here. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Do I hear a motion for approval of these?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, now we have a motion, a second. Let's take a vote on the approval of the new amended merit board rules. Let's take a roll call on this since we each have to sign anyway.
A discussion for just a quick second?
Oh, sure.
I did miss last month's meeting. You guys feel comfortable with the changes that you brought up? And
Yeah,
were
there's a
good?
lot of discussion. There was basically some back and forth regarding the percentages.
Yeah.
And whether, 70% used uniformly, and that was the one key, was that if you look at Section 7 here, the 50% here versus 70,
Okay.
that allowed lower scores from a specific option. Rather than having a score of 70 and that each area having to be 70, you could have a passing average of 70 with one being down as low as 50.
Gotcha.
So that was really the key there.
Okay.
Okay, if you guys felt comfortable with all your discussions last month, I'm good.
All right, could we do a roll call vote, please?
Okay. Paul Petrie,
Aye.
Tim Urbanitis,
Aye.
Roger Florkowitz,
Aye.
David Tarosi,
Aye.
Tom Folk.
Aye.
All right.
And then if I could just ask you guys to circulate a single copy that you'll each sign, and pass that to the recording secretary when you're done. I have to apologize to the recording secretary. I omitted a line on here at the bottom, but if you could just sign your name at the bottom and print under it, recording secretary, so that that's properly included in the records. One of the reasons I wanted to make sure there was a formal resolution on this one was simply to keep the rules straight, because we had an old copy, now we have a new copy, and the new copy will be attached to the resolution so we know which is which.
Was there an extra copy in the pile?
You need it, you can take mine.
Excuse me.
I made 10, so there should be some floating around.
You know what, I had two.
Oh, that's it. Well, you're going to need one.
There you go.
So, if I may, now that that has been approved, there was an additional item that I noted from the statute that I wanted to address with you folks, and this segues into the chief's hiring update, which is the next agenda item. So, once these are passed, then chief will have to distribute copies to all of the firefighters in the department. Once those copies have been distributed, that starts a 30-day clock ticking, and the rules actually go into effect 30 days after their passage. And the reason for that is because the firefighters are all supposed to receive a copy and get the opportunity to know how things are working with the new rules before they actually become effective.
Is there a process for them to dispute, or?
No, there's really no provided dispute process. I think it's more a method of notification more than anything. So the dispute process would have been to show up today, basically, if anyone had an interest in it. You know, like I said, that's why we did the public notice, and that's why we distributed the rules to chief and the department. But we do have to wait the 30 days before they technically become effective. Now, what that means, and I've discussed it with chief a little bit, is we have a hiring process. We have open applications right now. So there are two things that could happen with those open applications. They could either move forward expediently under the rules that are currently in effect, or if the new rules are to apply to the current applications, we can still collect the applications, we can still have the interviews graded and whatnot. But if we wanted to go with the new rules, we'd have to wait until that 30-day period had run before we could decide which firefighters progress to the oral interviews. That would cause a delay, obviously. I don't think that the department is in favor of delay, because we want to get as much staff up and going as possible. But with that, I will segue to anything that Chief has to say about the hiring update, and if he has a recommendation on how the department would like to proceed.
Yeah, I think that with the unknown that we weren't going to be able to utilize what we have today, otherwise we're going to be waiting another month before we even start the process, which is going to take another 2 to 3 months before we can hire that person. So unfortunately, I would like to see if we can utilize what is currently in place so we can move forward with this, even though all that hard work we did, but still.
Right, it's in place, I think that's good. I also am not in favor of delaying if possible. I do have a question, though, since it's going to take, the 30 days from today would be the effect point, since we would not be certifying those, and one of the primary issues was giving the bonus points for the paramedic. At the time of certification, would we be able to add those bonus points at that point? To then adjust the list based on that point?
So I did some research on that issue, and it's a little bit of a vague issue because the rules are normally prospective. However, they can be retrospective if there's a reason and there's a vote to apply them to the new hiring process. The new rules might be able to take effect anytime prior to the certification or actually the onboarding of the new firefighters. However, we get into some gray area if we do it that way because the system under the old rules.
If someone gets displaced, we could be in legal jeopardy because it changed the ranking.
Right.
Which I guess is the clarification that I didn't think of until after we had voted on these, is at what point are the bonus points awarded? And that's the part for me that's really the key there, and the other is the 50% versus 70%. So if anybody does fail on one area miserably, the new rules would allow them to proceed versus being disqualified on that.
Those are exactly the questions, and I'll say I can't give you a definitive answer, unfortunately. The case law basically says that there is no vested property right in a position until you've actually made the offer to hire. However, given the issues that you just discussed, it gets gray because it affects the hiring process. So ultimately, I would leave that issue to the board's discretion. I think the clearest and most straightforward way of doing it is probably to operate under the new rule or the old rules until the 30 days runs and have the new rules take effect at that time.
Okay. And the reason I asked is because we didn't really specify if those bonus points were awarded before or after or prior to the certification and the approval, because even if we have that list generated, there'll be a rank ordering based on the interviews and the testing, but it's an after-the-fact issue. The bonus points were added after the fact to me, so that's where...
Right, and if it were just the bonus points, I would probably say, there's absolutely no impediment to going through with the new rules, but because the new rules and the old rules differ in the filtering process, so to speak,
Percentages.
that's where it gets a little bit gray. Now, I would note that even under the old system, once the candidates get to the oral interview stage, the oral interviews are where you can take the totality of their attributes into account. And in order to give more weight to firefighters who might be lateral hires or have paramedic experience, the oral interview would be a very appropriate place to consider those
Compensate
issues.
for that in the current
Yeah,
format. Okay.
correct.
All right. Okay. Does that concur with what you guys are saying, that you want to move forward using the old rules as far as the testing, certifications, creating the list, and then if we see the results of that, we need to look at the oral interview portion to consider lateral transfers and paramedics, because that was clear from our last meeting that was what we were targeting, and that's what
Right.
we want to hire if possible.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Was, when you advertised for applicants, Was any of that mentioned in your, I would imagine you put out some sort of a request for applicants. So was the bonus points mentioned anywhere?
Yes,
It was.
in the original post, because we were unaware of the 30-day,
Yeah.
we were initially under the
Right,
assumption.
didn't know you had to
this was-
wait for the 30 days,
We
so
did
it was
not,
put
we were not
in
made
with
aware of
that.
that until today.
Yeah, it's
or the
publicly
other day.
posted with that.
It was just categorized, our first post was preference points awarded for those lateral military.
There haven't been any commitments as far as, who gets hired. It's all part of the assessment process. So if due weight is given to those qualifications during the oral interview process, then I think that's fair consideration of the qualifications.
The point being, we want to hire the most qualified and the highest level candidate that we can at this time, not only from a, budgeting standpoint of having to avoid that, but also to get a person up to speed as quickly to do multiple roles, cover more shifts.
Right.
Okay, any more updates regarding hiring? Any questions, comments from the board? So the process has been started, or will be started with the online testing, and that's the first stage?
That is all completed.
Okay.
The application testing process closed yesterday at 8 PM. So now we move on to the video interviews, where they record, they ask questions and they videotape themselves answering it. That's where we would seek the assistance of 2 mayor board members and 2 members.
Regarding that, we have selected Mr. Folk and Mr. Arvanitis to be available for those.
My heroes.
Any, those videos.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll pass it on to the pension
kinda
board
what Paul and
secretary.
I
Yeah,
were thinking too.
I will, I'll follow up just to make sure I have your correct email addresses, and I will enter you into our system, and you'll receive an invite to log in, and that's where you'll go to the candidate, watch the video, and just kind of score them as you see fit,
So
based
this-
on their answers.
Where's the scoring process going to be?
It's all online.
It's all online?
It's
Those
under.
are pre-recorded videos of answers that are asked
Yep.
from
Yeah,
each.
and we'll have, the pension board secretary will reach out to you to make sure, in case you have any questions or not, he'll help you and guide you through it.
Just wondering if I'd be able to review the questions before, or, of course,
You
it's
can
video,
actually,
right?
the
Yeah, you'll
questions.
be able to log in.
When you log in, you'll see the questions there.
Okay.
And then you can hit play, and you can listen to the applicant answer those questions. Usually about like a minute or two, depending on the candidate.
Okay.
And then you just kind of 0 to 100, and you kind of score them. And there's a section where you can create notes if there's something you liked or something you didn't like. So, if there's any questions, I can talk you through. I helped Dave last time, so
Okay.
it's a really easy process.
For the board's benefit, how many candidates do you have right now?
I believe we had
26.
18 or 19 candidates that completed all the assessments. But looking at records, maybe 7, 8, or 9 actually meet all the qualifications.
Oh, I was misled.
So, well, the last time we had to do 20, so this time we're only going to have 7 or 8.
It's
that's
less.
right.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
a cakewalk this
Right.
time.
We planned it
Yeah, because remember last time we included everybody who had applied because we hadn't had the rules done. Now we've got that cut, so.
Nice.
But if they completed all the assessment, you will still have to listen to the interviews. But that's where, at your discretion, you could see their resume, you could see their credentials, so you'd be like, this person doesn't have, they're not a firefighter, they're not EMT, they're a carpenter or something, that's their career. So that you could take that into consideration when you're scoring and create your own little notes, no certifications.
They don't meet some of the basic criteria.
Correct.
Right.
And
They should move forward
some
after
of
that.
them, the testing was low as well, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
and you'll see those scores.
Yeah, so that's all, that screening has already been done up front, so it'll be pretty clear the group that we're pulling.
They don't
from.
make the basic criteria, why are they still moving beyond in the process?
That is where I'm trying to get a good answer to that. We still don't know why they applied, if that's part of the criteria, because there's questions that they have to answer. Are you a firefighter, EMT? They click no. Are you licensed paramedic? No. Are you over 18? Do you have a CPAT? There's stupid questions, and they answer no, but they still complete all the assessments. So that is kind of,
But as part of our requirement is that you have to have that stuff. So the way I see it is that if they don't have that, you shouldn't have to interview them.
Right, well, that's why, I guess that's the question. If they're excluded previously based on that, it seems that they don't meet the criteria, so they wouldn't need to have that video.
absolutely, and I think that's where you can absolutely cut them out.
So,
If they don't
yeah,
meet the if they don't meet the qualifications.
There is a multi-tier process to this, and that's kind of maybe one of the questions. After you have the scoring completed for the present online testing, how long does it normally take to set up the actual oral interviews for the qualified candidates?
The way I believe, that's a pension board question, but the way I believe they did it, I don't know if you guys, Tom, if you guys, I believe what they did is our pension board secretary contacted all the individuals and was like, hey, you're moving forward to the in-person interview. You need to contact us and, give us some availability. So they put it in the applicant's lap to call in to set up their interview instead of them calling them, saying, hey, we're setting up interviews, what day are you available? They kind of, yeah, it was, because Jose never called back.
So I think it might actually be advisable for the purpose of expediency, if we know that some of the candidates don't even meet the basic standards on paper, I believe that you would still have to, because the oral interview is part of the general assessment test, the initial oral interview, you'd still have to grade it. But you could vote to exclude anyone who, after the completion of the online process, has not met the basic standards stated in the original merit board rules.
Would you
Yeah, I agree,
suggest that we
because
do
if they
that
have no
ahead of the
qualification, we shouldn't
assessments?
be interviewing
So
them.
that's where you may have the 7 or 8 candidates that actually meet all the qualifications
Right.
for the in-person interviews.
Yeah.
Well, the trick is, we want to keep this rolling. And, there would be an opportunity at the next meeting for you to eliminate candidates that you don't see fit. But if there's candidates that clearly do not meet the standards, I don't see why we couldn't say that anyone that's not meeting the standards contained
Right,
within
we're
the merit
certainly
board
not going to
rules,
approve someone who
should-
does not meet the criteria. what
yeah,
we just
should
discussed.
not move forward.
Right.
It actually says that in here. E5 says qualified applicants shall then submit to an in-person oral interview.
Right. But you're the ones that determine who's qualified.
I got you.
Right. Right, so before we go to the in-person interviews, that'll be clarified, but
Right.
it does sound like we're going to continue with just the video assessment portion for everyone. Okay? All right, any other questions, comments?
I do have one more update, though. For the 2 that we were in the process of hiring from our last list that we had, May 13th, they will be reviewed in front of the pension board for final approval, and we should be getting them on the floor here soon.
Outstanding.
And that leaves one from this current list that we're generating to be hired then.
Correct.
Okay.
We allowed to say names? Who's the second one? I missed that. I was here for the swearing in of the one.
That was, he was already through the process. We had the other 2 that were
2 new ones.
approved from the prior list.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was the other 2.
Yeah, those would be the last 2 from that list, and then from this new list that they're starting.
Right, we exhausted that
Chief-
last list
Chief,
with these 2.
would you like to move forward with the oral interviews? Do you see yourself doing that prior to the next merit board meeting, or wanting to do that?
Yeah, I'm hoping we have stuff set up way before the next meeting, absolutely.
Okay. If that is the case, I would recommend, because of that language that says qualified candidates, and you guys are the ones that determine
We take a
what's
vote
qualified.
today to-
I would recommend that, yeah, there be a vote today that candidates who do not meet the standards that are stated in the rules be deemed unqualified, so that Chief knows who he can go ahead and schedule oral interviews for.
I agree. Do I hear a motion to such?
So moved.
Second,
Second, I was just writing it down.
all in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I didn't lie to you.
Now what?
Now I didn't lie to you. We're back to 7 or 8.
Well, we're still gonna do the video with them though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all you have to do is the online interview stuff, and then
That's where you can
But
sit
you
at home
don't
on your
have
couch
to-
at your own leisure.
Right,
The
when you see
full
that they're
oral interview
disqualified,
for
right?
all the-
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Take the edge off.
All right, any new business to,
no new business.
comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have one, and I think I know the answer to this, but I wanted to ask you. If an engine goes down on Friday afternoon for a minor repair, and it's taken to the town garage, and it sits there over the weekend, Monday, the mechanic shows up and assesses the problem with that vehicle, and then orders parts, and then eventually that engine gets back on the road. Have you ever thought about, or have you ever talked to the town council about having an afternoon mechanic? Or a mechanic that may work on Saturdays to help expedite the repair?
No, we haven't.
I don't know how that process works. I talked to a St. John fire chief today, and he said that if that were to happen, it's mutual aid. That if you guys were down an engine, you would call for another engine from another department, which could increase response times or lengthen them to where the patient may need immediate care. But if they're coming from Dyer and it's in Pine Island,
We've done that with our surrounding towns,
Have
all
you?
of us, all the towns have done that before. If somebody's ambulance breaks down, they have their spare one, we would lend them that ambulance and vice versa, and we've had that happen where we've all reached out and helped each other out with that kind of situation.
and again, I don't know the process, but how do you get that before the council and ask them, hey, listen, is there ever an idea or a thought to take a daytime mechanic and move him to a power shift or something in case you got some lights that go out in an engine and you down it, you know?
We've
it's
had
good.
situations where, you know, if something was serious enough, we've called the mechanics, and some have come in and actually worked on
That's
vehicle.
what, that was
when
my
they're able to.
suggestion. Operationally, it seems that that would be considered important enough versus scheduling someone
Yeah.
full-time to
We-
wait.
We've actually had to do that,
have a
have
call
them come
in
in and
and-
actually work on a vehicle if it was, you know, if we were down to bare minimum.
Do they have a company vehicle to drive? Or do they have tools already in their truck to maybe see the engine, at the firehouse or something, if it's just a minor repair, if it's a
Not-
major repair?
Yeah, not one dedicated,
They just grab the tools and bring them with them, I believe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
but Tim, we do have a reserve engine, so if one goes down, we just throw that reserve one back in the
Rotation.
rotations. So
Yep.
we don't skip a beat.
Especially if you see it's going to be a long-term thing. Again,
Right.
I think operationally speaking, that everyone in the town seems to pull together and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And if it's something, it's not going to be down because, cylinders have blown and head gaskets and all kinds of issues. If it's something simple enough, then everybody knows to call in and everybody knows everybody.
Right.
so.
Sometimes parts are very difficult to get, so it's, no matter what you
Right,
do,
you
you're
know
gonna
it's
be
going to be
waiting.
months, yeah, or weeks, yeah, okay.
I just was, if you've got a long weekend and that vehicle sits for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and like I said,
using it.
we've had that situation, and we have had the mechanics come in and actually work on things and get them back up for us, so,
Thank you, Chief.
yep.
All right, any other comments from board members? Any business from the floor? All right, moving on to adjournment, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, everyone.
Motion carries, adjourned.
Thank you.